genius who emerged from an orthodox Hindu family to become one of the most influential mathematicians. Although he had almost no formal mathematical training, his remarkable intuition led him to make extraordinary contributions to several areas of mathematics, including, in particular, number theory. His work, grounded in the very ethos of the soil, much like this banyan tree, developed an enigmatic foliage that led others to sprout new roots and enlarge the canopy of contemporary mathematics. Ramanujan's mathematical explorations were abruptly cut short by his untimely death at the young age of 32. Now, almost 100 years later, we look at his life, his work, the legacy he left behind, and also meet some of the mathematicians influenced by his work, both here in India as well as around the world.
Ingenious. A true master.
What he started in back 100 years back is what we are doing today.
Essentially, he was a self-trained man.
Well, I was really fascinated by the story of Ramanujan when I was young.
I think very influential in analytic number theory.
Maybe Ramanujan was very good at finding the tips of icebergs in some sense.
In mathematics, we have somebody who is God figure, and that is Ramanujan.
Srinivasa Ramanujan was born on the 22nd of December, 1887, in a small district town of southern India. To commemorate his birth centenary, we made a docudrama film with enactments in 1987, more than 25 years ago. Today, walking in the footsteps of the genius, we visited many places associated with his life with a group of mathematicians. Ken Ono, A. Raghuram, K. Srinivasa Rao, and T.V. Venkateshwaran.
It's in this small town of Erode that Srinivasa Ramanujan was born.
Little Ramanujan grew up in the temple town of Kumbakonam, located on the banks of river Kaveri. During his childhood, Tennai village primary schools dotted the rural landscape of Tamil-speaking areas. Collective recitations set to metrical verses help children develop a keen mnemonic ability. This oral tradition might have encouraged little Ramanujan's flair for logical thinking and deep reflection.
In the Tennai schools, the unique function of the pedagogy is to cultivate a memory which scholars would call it recollective memory, which is you remember and you memorize in order to be able to recollect. Here, writing is only an aid to memory, and the particular ways in which the memory was trained was in terms of, like you take the particular case of the Ponnelakam, the learning of the numbers. So there is a head monitor who recites the number, and then the student is supposed to recite it after him. And while reciting, which is to vocalize what he hears, and then there is a heap of sand in front of him, and then he draws the graphic symbol of the number, which is the number notation, and recites loudly, so that we have the qualities of vocalization and visualization and memorization happening at the single continuum. Particularly, what recollective memory trains you is to strong visual sense of the numbers in relation to each other. So the Kangayam primary school that he went to, we know for sure that the Tennai schools continue to exist till about the 1920s. This familiar world of creating and cultivating an intimacy with the world of numbers was definitely part of the orientation of the Tennai schools.
Exceptions. He was India's last great mathematician. He said the
It was in this town high school of Kumbakonam that the magical world of numbers, trigonometry and geometry opened up for the ever-curious little Ramanujan.
That was an intelligent question you asked. You like sums, don't you?
Yes. You know, sir, I want to learn lots. I want to find out what the highest truth in mathematics is.
What? What did you say?
What the highest truth in mathematics is.
What we learned from the early mathematical development of Ramanujan is the importance of problem solving at the primary school level. The Hungarian mathematician and educator George Polya observed that mathematics develops critical thinking and a love for expressing ideas precisely. In my own experience, early exposure to the beauty of abstract mathematical reasoning and access to math and puzzle books helped me develop a passion for mathematics.
At the age of 12, Ramanujan borrowed from older students Loney's textbook of plain trigonometry and completely mastered its contents. This book went far beyond standard curriculum and introduced rudiments of calculus too. But the book that really transformed Ramanujan's life is Carr's synopsis of elementary results in pure mathematics, borrowed from the local college library. He engrossed himself in its methods of analysis and demonstrations, and proved the propositions and formulae contained therein all by himself.
You had excellent teachers like Seshu Iyer, who was very famous. So you got an opportunity for a good higher education in Kumbakonam. I mean, of course, other than Madras.
You know, this is where he must have sat down and worked through Carr's synopsis and Loney's trigonometry.
Yes, and just imagine, this is where he worked on his big slate before he recorded his findings in those famous notebooks.
Right, he used to write on the slate and then flip over, write again, erase and then write.
And that was here.
That was here.
And what we call as the first notebook got written here. I mean, a large part of it is including that things on magic squares and things of that kind.
In 1904, at the age of 16, based on his outstanding performance in school, Ramanujan won a scholarship to the government college in Kumbakonam. By this time, he had already started producing original research. With not much encouragement from his professors and in isolation from the mathematical community of his time, he worked on problems in algebra, trigonometry, and calculus, studied infinite series, and played with prime numbers. A raw genius, he independently rediscovered several existing results as well as made new discoveries. He is said to have drawn inspiration from his family deity, the goddess Lakshmi Namagiri. However, being totally immersed in mathematics, he neglected all other subjects, and the government college did not renew his scholarship. So in 1906, he moved to Patayappa College in Madras, but there too he concentrated exclusively on mathematics and did not pass the necessary examinations to enter the University of Madras. Ramanujan wrote down his mathematical findings in 3 notebooks, which have become famous now as Ramanujan's Freight notebooks. These notebooks contain a treasure of over 4,000 theorems, corollaries, and other results. Proofs form the backbone of modern mathematics. But Ramanujan, inspired by Carr's book, had developed a highly unconventional style of working by finding patterns in numbers and formulae and relying on intuition and induction rather than on proof and deduction.
We are sitting in the University of Madras library Somehow, I didn't know this until I got started on this project, this movie project, that these famous notebooks are housed here at the University of Madras Library.
I'm glad that you discovered that fact.
So these are the famous notebooks of Ramanujan.
The very ones. We're holding them. Can you believe it?
We're holding history in our hands here.
Unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
There are thousands of formulas in these notebooks. And look at the handwriting. Look at this, chapter 2. It's incredible.
When we were filming in the University of Madras Library, the one defining moment, in fact I will say this is one of the great moments of my life, was just holding Ramanujan's notebooks. The very pages on which the great man wrote his mathematics. After a lot of hard work, he would come down to this final formulas which he thought were important, and that is what he would record in his notebooks. And what can I say? This just touches something very deep down in my psyche. It touches some kind of the intellectual fabric of our internal thoughts. It's just a great moment.
Ramanujan made many fundamental contributions to the field of number theory. Number theory is a branch of mathematics that is primarily devoted to the study of whole numbers, such as 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. In particular, number theorists study what are called prime numbers, which serve as building blocks for whole numbers. A prime number is a number that is not divisible by any other number other than 1 and itself. For example, 2, 3, 5, and 7 are prime numbers. But 9 is not a prime number because 9 can be written as 3 times 3. And so 3 divides 9. And so on.
An intense Ramanujan, constantly toiling with equations, struck a rich purple patch with hypergeometric series, elliptic functions, Q series, continued fractions, consuming all his youthful energies. This productive period was briefly interrupted in 1909, when, as per the prevailing customs, Ramanujan's parents arranged his marriage to Janaki, a girl barely 9 years old. Soon, household responsibilities compelled him to leave Kumbakonam and look for a steady job in Madras, the colonial center of British administration. For some time, he tutored students in arithmetic and somehow eked out a frugal livelihood. Finally, he got a clerical job, largely due to the chairman, Sir Francis Spring, of the Madras Port Trust, getting thoroughly convinced of Ramanujan's mathematical ingenuity.
There was a community of people in India who sort of also supported Ramanujan during his initial years. One is people like, for example, Mudaliar, who was his teacher in the Pachapa college. Even after Ramanujan had to leave the college and for unemployed for quite some time, Hardy's books were introduced by Mudaliar to Ramanujan. The second is collector, Ramchandra Rao, who paid him from his own personal salary a small amount as a stipend, so that Ramanujan can work on maths while he was no longer a student. Third is people like Narayan Iyer, who got him a job in the Port Trust, who sort of entertained him every day in his house so that they can discuss maths. And he continued to help Ramanujan even after Ramanujan went to Cambridge. People like Professor Ramaswamy, actually was a government servant. He was one of the founders of Indian Mathematical Society. People like him encouraged Ramanujan to write. Till then Ramanujan was sort of keeping a journal, his notebooks. He was just keeping it to himself, maybe showing to a few people. They said, no, that's not the way, for example, science is done in modern world. So they encouraged him to publish. So some of his earlier papers came in Indian Journal for Mathematical Society. His work on probabilistic number theory or elliptical function or continued fractions. They all have a lot of application even today. It's an important contribution.
In 1957, the Tata Institute of Fundamental Research in Mumbai brought out a facsimile edition of Ramanujan's notebooks, which had hitherto been lying dormant at the University of Madras. For the first time, Ramanujan's startling results were brought to the attention of mathematicians around the world. Subsequently, in 2012, the Tata Institute published a second collector's edition of Ramanujan's notebooks. I'm here to talk with the director about this publication. So what motivated the Institute to bring out a second edition of Ramanujan's notebooks?
Yes, well, 2012 marked the 125th birth anniversary of Srinivasa Ramanujan. It was an occasion to celebrate his life and his work, which has had profound impact in mathematics. TIFR organized a number of events to mark the occasion. One of the things we did was to produce the second edition of his notebooks, beautiful and very, very important set of notebooks of Ramanujan. And one reason to do that was that the earlier edition was now many years old. It was not in print anymore, not easy to find, so that was a good motivation. The other, I think, was that technology is better now, so we could do things we couldn't do, I think, in the first edition. For example, this one is colored. There are beautiful, the original handwriting is also authentically in the colored ink in which Ramanujan wrote. Had extremely neat handwriting, but also, he wrote very carefully in different colored ink. Another reason for the second edition is that Professor Bruce Berndt, who's a well-known mathematician and has spent a good part of his life working on the notebooks, in fact, has contributed a preface to it. So that adds to the overall understanding we get of Ramanujan and his work. So those were two of the reasons, but really the real reason is that more people can get access to these books now and hopefully enjoy them and get a true appreciation of this genius.
For more than 50 years, people got to see this publication, and when this went on out of print, Tata Institute wanted to reprint this book. When we saw the notebooks, we were first really very excited. While there was excitement, we were also feeling sad because it was laminated. But then this has to be preserved. Any material is laminated, it will deteriorate very soon. So it's important to capture the notebook in its original form, at least to whatever possible maximum levels. In fact, this factor pushed us to bring this book in color.
125th year is as good as any to celebrate the memory of a great mind, and the government declared the birthday of Ramanujan as National Mathematics Day.
Mathematicians are remembered not only for their theorems, but also for their insightful conjectures or intelligent guesses they believe to be true. One example is Bertrand's postulate. The French mathematician Joseph Bertrand will forever be remembered for the conjecture he made in 1845 when he was just 23. Bertrand observed that between the number 3 and 6 there is a prime number, 5. Similarly, between the number 10 and its double 20, there are 4 primes, 11, 13, 17, and 19. Generalizing this observation, Bertrand postulated that between every number n and its double 2n, there is at least 1 prime number. And Bertrand checked that his postulate was true for all numbers less than 3 million. However, this still does not constitute a proof. For example, it does not show that there is a prime between 5 trillion and 10 trillion. It was the Russian mathematician Pafnuty Chebyshev who 5 years later gained immortality by proving this result, and the postulate was promoted to the status of a theorem. However, Chebyshev's proof of the result was long and complicated. In 1919, Ramanujan provided an elegant two-page proof of this theorem in an article that appeared in the Journal of the Indian Mathematical Society. His proof gave rise to the notion of what are now called Ramanujan primes. Interestingly, 13 years later, unaware of Ramanujan's proof, the Hungarian mathematician Paul Erdős, then just 18, gave another proof. This proof, although similar to Ramanujan's, contained a new idea that allowed Erdős to generalize Bertrand's postulate in an entirely new way. Just as Bertrand's postulate inspired many mathematicians, including Ramanujan, Ramanujan's conjectures have in turn inspired other mathematicians to enlarge the edifice of mathematics brick by brick.
I beg to introduce myself as a clerk in the Madras Port Trust. I am now about 25 years of age and striking out a new path for myself. I have made a special investigation of divergent series. The results are termed by the local mathematicians as startling, but they are not able to understand me in my higher flights. If you are convinced that there is anything of value, I would like to have my theorems published. To Professor G.H. Hardy, Trinity College.
These theorems of his must be true, because no one would have the imagination to invent them. He must be a mathematician of the very highest order.
Ramanujan's letter to Hardy, dated 16th January 1913, is one of the most famous letters in the history of mathematics. It marks the first recognition outside India of Ramanujan's remarkable talent. In the late 1920s, after Ramanujan's death, this letter and a subsequent one he wrote to Hardy spawned numerous papers by several mathematicians.
If you study the 1913 letter, the first letter of Ramanujan, there's a formula for the Fourier coefficient of a certain modular function, and he gives a rather remarkable formula, the first formula being some first term of a general series, and that statement itself tells you that he was aware of the circle method before he went to England.
He was very convinced that the kind of results that he was writing were true. He was not postulating them as conjectures in the sense of modern mathematics. He was not educated into the philosophy of mathematics, which equated it into proving theorems only. He understood mathematics as arriving at interesting, beautiful results, which need to be justified, and he had worked out the justification for it himself. And he was prepared to sort of discuss the justification, which others could later on put them together. I think Klein, the great mathematician, had said 100 years ago, even much in early 20th century, that a great conjecture is much better than hundreds of sort of ordinary proofs.
There are many problems in number theory where one is interested in knowing whether every integer can be written as a sum of integers of a special type. Important examples being Goldwasser's conjectures and Waring's problem. And it was a method which was developed by Hardy and Ramanujan called circle method. Is a method which is normally used to solve such problems. And one can even see the genesis of the method in the very first letter of Ramanujan to Hardy, even before he met Hardy. And this is the method, one which has enabled to get partial results on Goldwasser's conjecture and a complete solution of Waring's problem. And the final result of Waring's problem was done somewhere in mid-80s by myself and two French mathematicians, Jean-Marc Dessouet and Frank Dress.
It is here, at the Trinity College, that Professors G.H. Hardy and to a lesser extent J.E. Littlewood mentored Ramanujan, only to be continually amazed by his remarkable originality. Later generations of mathematicians were to proclaim his conjectures as unexpected, elegant, and deep. But the most remarkable aspect of Ramanujan's encounter with the West was that, for the first time, and in his own right, he could pursue the professional career of a creative mathematician.
When he arrived in England, he collaborated with Hardy, and they developed the famous paper on the partition function, which was an asymptotic formula. But as Atle Selberg points out in his his centenary lecture on Ramanujan that was delivered here at the Tata Institute in 1987, he says that if you look at Ramanujan's letter and see the first term that he had written, that coincides with the first term of Rademacher's formula, which was discovered in the 1930s. Rademacher discovered an explicit formula for the partition function, whereas Hardy and Ramanujan discovered only an asymptotic formula.
Bounded error.
Now, Selberg, I think, semi-humorously points out that Hardy was to blame for this debacle because Ramanujan was going in the right direction of trying to get an exact formula, and it was Hardy, he says, who steered him in the wrong,
we are sure to come
if
to
you
the
want to
final
say,
result.
wrong direction.
Very interesting. D upon dn n minus 1 upon 24, he's right. But what's made him so certain? The function has so many forms. To have chosen the right one is nothing less than an extraordinary stroke of genius.
The First World War saw Cambridge University almost bereft of students. But the wonderful collaboration of Messrs. Ramanujan and Hardy during that time stands highlighted for its seminal contribution to the number theory. Our Indian research student wrote over 30 papers, 7 of them jointly with Professor Hardy, and ultimately he was delighted to be finally bestowed with the University of Cambridge degree. These papers shaped the course of 20th century mathematics in the most unimaginable way during his lifetime.
This paper called On Certain Arithmetical Functions. This is just great stuff, great mathematics. It has led to hundreds and thousands of pages of modern number theory. He did lots of explicit calculations, and he studied a certain function which we now call the Ramanujan delta function. And there are certain numbers, certain Fourier coefficients which show up in this function. And he literally explicitly computed these numbers, and then he saw a lot of patterns. And here you again get a glimpse of Ramanujan's genius. Through these patterns, he made some guesses that this must how it must be. This is how it, the general pattern, the general statement, this is how it should be. He computed the first, I think, 200 numbers. And then mathematicians took decades to prove Ramanujan's conjectures. One of his conjectures was settled rather quickly by Mordell. And then later Hecker, this German mathematician, Erich Hecker, put it into a conceptual framework. Later, Andre Way studied certain zeta functions, and Way had his conjectures. This is in the 40s, 50s. And then in the 70s, Deligne was proving the Way conjectures, and as a corollary, Ramanujan's original conjecture followed.
I mean, it's important. What he's identified certain very important ideas and important directions in which to work. The Ramanujan conjecture, for example, is something you see all over the mathematical literature now. At the time he made it, it was just an isolated guess or a conjecture. That conjecture to prove that, to make that sort of transition from the trivial estimate to the guess Ramanujan made, it took 40, 50 years to prove. Somehow got proved at the right time when the mathematics was ready for it. I mean, a lot of other things had to happen. So, I mean, he had somehow a sense, an intuition for what is important. Often these sort of small things Ramanujan discovered turned out to be just the tip of the iceberg.
Now as mathematics is developing and we have a more general framework, then you see that a lot of Ramanujan's original work fits into a much bigger picture. And a lot of times that happens in mathematics, that you don't fully understand a problem until you generalize it to a much more complicated problem, and you establish all of the necessary tools to be able to finally tackle.
You see this progression of thought right from the early 20th century through Hecker's work in the 30s, through Andre Way, through Deline in the 70s, and finally into the Langlands program, which is a very huge, very fertile area of research in modern mathematics. It's the grand unifying principle, and if you really want to get into the Langlands program, you have to understand Ramanujan's original paper and this progression of thoughts. So it's just, to me, this is the grandeur of mathematics, and Ramanujan's paper is at the heart of it.
The Hardy-Ramanujan theorem concerning prime factors of a natural number being roughly log n. That particular paper gave rise to a new branch of mathematics called probabilistic number theory. And it was developed with full force by Erdős and Katz in the 20th century. And now there's also a modular connection in which you could tie it to the theory of modular forms and deduce new theorems about prime divisors of Fourier coefficients of modular forms using that particular approach. So the legacy is very broad, very vast, and certainly there's a lot more work for us to do.
The cold, damp English climate, wartime deprivation, and his strict adherence to vegetarian diet all conspired to make Ramanujan seriously ill. He was admitted to several sanatoriums, suffering from tuberculosis.
It's good for you, Mr. Ramanujan. Eat it all up.
Ramanujan, I just took a taxi cab, number 1729. Seems rather a dull number to me. What do you think?
1729. 729, 1000, 1. It is the smallest number expressible as a sum of two cubes in two different ways. Guess which?
Who? I?
1 cube plus 12 cube, 9 cube plus 10 cube. Very simple.
Is it indeed? Well, I suppose you wouldn't tell me the equivalent solutions to the fourth power?
I see no obvious example. But I suppose the first such number must be a very large one. I'm going back now. Home. With the same disease inside me.
You know you've been elected an FRS. You are a success. They want you here. You must fight your TB. You must.
Back in India, with scant concern for his serious illness, Ramanujan exhausted all his energies in formulating a new set of theta functions, which have now found applications in other areas of mathematics, today known as mock modular forms. It took mathematicians more than 80 years to unravel what Ramanujan meant by these enigmatic equations. A little over a year after returning to India, in the festering heat of summer, an ailing Ramanujan lapsed into coma and passed away soon after in this very house. He was young, only 32 years old.
Ramanujan recorded the discoveries that he made in the last year of his life on a collection of loosely ordered sheets of paper, which were dispatched to Hardy after Ramanujan's death. But several years later, this collection was misplaced, and so it came to be called the Lost Notebook. This collection was rediscovered only in 1976, when the mathematician George Andrews stumbled upon it in a box in the Wren Library of Trinity College, Cambridge.
There were several things that were in Ramanujan's handwriting. One was the last letter that he'd actually written to G.H. Hardy in the last year of his life in 1920. And the other was a manuscript of about 100 sheets of paper, some written on both sides, and And so seeing there the Mach theta functions meant that I had one of the mathematical treasures of a long time, because this was Ramanujan while he was physically ill and in fact dying. Intellectually, he was at the height of his powers, and so this promised to be a manuscript of great significance, and that's what it's turned out to be.
Very recently, in the last 5 to 10 years, there's a much better understanding of these Mach modular forms, which Ramanujan wrote down many of these and discussed these, and maybe for some 40, 50 years or more than that, it was not entirely clear what their significance was, in the sense that they were interesting objects, but how do they relate to other objects in the theory of automorphic forms and in mathematics as a whole. And that has only maybe begun to be understood in the last 5 to 10 years. So because of new insights, new methods, they find that these things are actually related to other things.
This is what I was referring to about recent work. There's now a theorem, this is a theorem that I've proven with Amanda Folsom at Yale and Rob Rhodes at Stanford, and the theorem is about all even order roots of unity. What's surprising to us is that in the course of proving this theorem, we were required to understand the relationship between many different objects that Ramanujan inspired over the decades. It took us a lot of work to come to the realization that a theorem like this might be true. We have the benefit of 90 years of work of Dyson and Andrews and Garvin and so many others involving objects that Ramanujan would have never anticipated existed. And only once we understood them independently as their own theories were we able to assemble a theorem like this, which Ramanujan somehow had the intuition to predict. That realization, combined with the dozens of papers that people had written on the Mach theta functions over the last 80 years, led to a real explosion of mathematics. People are now applying this theory of Mach theta functions in physics, number theory, and combinatorics, just so many different areas. I have to say, I certainly fancy that Ramanujan would have proven this theorem, maybe even proved it the day after he wrote his last letter. This is the kind of formula that he would find.
Some of his work is recently understood, and this is fresh. So this is important also today. So this is not only for some mathematics from the beginning of the 20th century. No, this is fresh. This is livid. It is influential.
A subject of great interest in my field of string theory has to do with the study of black holes. Now we know from the work of Bekenstein and Hawking that black holes have an entropy. And an important question is, how do we understand the entropy of this black hole from a more fundamental theory? This is the question string theory addresses. The answer, lo and behold, is provided by the study of modular forms, a subject to which Ramanujan contributed a great deal. Ramanujan developed this subject because of his interest in number theory. So here we have a remarkable example of a subject developed by a mathematician because of their love for numbers, finding a central role in our understanding of string theory and in our quest to understand the fundamental laws of nature. There's another very interesting connection here. Ramanujan inspired the great Indian astrophysicist Subramaniam Chandrasekhar, who played a very important
17 million digits. Of course, today, pi has been calculated up to 51 billion digits. And in fact, there is a contribution which has been made from India by a Kanpur IIT student, which shows that any digit of pi can be calculated without reference to any other digit of pi.
Indian children, for Indian students, the story is even more special. It's more inspiring because it shows that there are roots in our own culture, there are deep roots of mathematical thinking, mathematical ideas, some of which Ramanujan was exposed to as a young person. And it gives a sense of, I think, of genuine pride and a sense of confidence that we can do this and it's worth doing this and it's worthwhile. I think this is a really great story.
When Mr. P.K. Srinivasan and I jointly set up this museum, that we brought children here, we brought teachers here, we conducted workshops for teachers here. I told them, I inspired them about Ramanujan and his works. Now seeing this museum, though it is small, with all these pictures and these original letters written by him, we definitely feel that more students will take up higher mathematics when they grow up.
As we know, Ramanujan was a pure mathematician who was interested in numbers for their own intrinsic beauty. But, surprising as it may be, his work still has an impact on our daily lives. For example, Ramanujan's work tells us something about how to build transportation networks. Consider a road network between different cities or between different centers within a city. Google uses these networks to recommend alternate routes. As I'm sure you've experienced, these road networks are very prone to failures. Sometimes intersections become overly congested or they're simply blocked off. So one wants a network with many alternate routes. Specifically, even when several nodes are congested, one would like to be able to have high connectivity between different locations in the city. Building a robust network then corresponds to constructing a graph with a large spectral gap. In 1988, three mathematicians, Lubotsky, Phillips, and Sarnak, constructed a class of graphs that achieved the maximum possible spectral gap for a given sparsity. These graphs came to be known as Ramanujan graphs because their construction used a 1916 conjecture of the Indian mathematician. This conjecture was later proved by the Belgian mathematician Pierre Deligne, who was awarded the Fields Medal, the most prestigious prize in mathematics. A second application of Ramanujan's work is important for modern web applications such as Facebook. In particular, Ramanujan-type graphs arise in the design of algorithms for detecting communities or groups of people with shared interests in such social networks. The study of such randomized algorithms is a part of the field of probability theory, which is my own domain of research. Thus, we see that Ramanujan's work from the early 1900s continues to have a profound impact on both fundamental and applied mathematical research to this day.
Ramanujan's discovery are not like discoveries with proofs. It's discovery through intuition. Okay? So he conjectured, the existence of these mock modular forms. These are some very, very special modular forms which are being, whose properties are being unearthed even in mathematics only now. There's a work by string theorists and mathematicians together, okay, in trying to understand some new properties of some, black holes, tiny black holes, and in which this is all married together, and it's a wonderful unification.
And both music and mathematics are about patterns and about stringing together patterns in a way to tell a complete story. Just like when you're improvising on tabla or in any improvisational form of music, you follow your intuition. It's not like you're using some formula or some algorithm. I'm going to proceed in this way in order to make my musical piece. Mathematics should be done the same way, and Ramanujan exemplifies that way of doing mathematics.
As someone has said, mathematics is like a big symphony in which you hear various themes They come together, they interview with each other, they sometimes dissonance is set up. Right? Various things happen, but Ramanujan, for example, the themes Ramanujan set up through his work, they continue to be heard in mathematics, and, intertwined with various new ideas which also come up, and hence they gather complexity, strength, interest, beauty.
Mathematicians around the world find his body of work intriguing. Today, nearly 100 years after his death, we find mathematics has slowly developed sophisticated tools, which are unraveling some of the secrets hidden behind his intuitive suppositions. Over the years, the mythical tree in Ramanujan's legendary garden has opened up new vistas of possibilities. New branches of mathematics have sprouted and proliferated and found application in varied fields of different sciences, implausible in his own times. His fertile mind envisioned a world where science and mathematics converge to uncover the fundamental principles governing our universe. This, then, is the legacy of a self-trained mathematician who straddled the world of numbers in early 20th century and continues to inspire generations of mathematicians even today.
Mathematics is like a beautiful jazz orchestra in which the creative melodies of different mathematicians harmoniously blend to form beautiful compositions. Ramanujan can be seen as one of the great conductors whose conjectures have spurred mathematical developments all over the world. Researchers continue to study properties of various mathematical constructs bearing his name. Thus, the legacy of Ramanujan is still very much felt to this day.
So dear students, I hope you have enjoyed the documentary. I hope you have included the principles and the mathematical principles which are involved in the documentary. So everyone has hidden talent. So my sincere advice to you, dear students, as you are coming to engineering background, you have to write whatever thoughts coming into your picture, you have to write it, and then you have to work it out. So dear students, hope all of you have enjoyed this documentary and wish you all the best in your future career.
Good afternoon, dear friends. I wholeheartedly welcome you to this session on first day of your induction program. Hearty congratulations to all of you for your success in your 12th standard. You have made it successfully up to the engineering. We are proud of you. And I would like to tell you and assure you that your presence here is really important for us and it is truly appreciated. My name is Mrunalini. I am a teacher in Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering. So what is this session about? Let us go ahead and find out. Right? So Department of ECE, AMCEC presents Swasthya at AMC. Let us see. The topic of today's this session is emotional wellness at campus life in the new normal. Right, so you will be having a lot of sessions in this week. There are a lot of sessions coming up aligned for you. This is one of the sessions, and you wouldn't hear about these words, emotional wellness very often in your life, but this is one of the most important part of our lives today. Let us go ahead and see what it means for you, what it means for us. So, emotional wellness at campus life in the new normal. Before we begin, let us pray for all of us. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve shantu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukha bhag bhavet. Let everyone be happy. Let everyone have perfect health, mental and physical. May all see what is good and may there be no suffering for anyone. With this prayer, we begin our session today. Once again, I welcome you all. Right? Now, you might be wondering, okay, I am already a grown-up person. I'm almost an adult. And is this really necessary? You can see this cat is very grumpy. I say, is this really necessary? And yes, it is necessary. We feel it is necessary. At the end of the session, it is left to you whether, how useful you found it, right? So you are important for us. You are the youth of this, nation, and the youth is the hope of our future. And that is why, we want our youth to be healthy, physically and mentally. Right? So year 2020 was not like any other year which I have seen in my life and which you have seen in your, 19 years of your life. So this could be an year, this could have been an year in which everything worked out as per you expected and made you happy. Right? Anyone agreeing with that? Or for some of us, it was the year of, fear of the unknown and the unseen, fear of, uncertainty and disappointment. And, results might not have turned out the way you expected, your family expected. Some of you, would have wanted to become doctors and would have written NEET and it didn't work out. And some of you might have wanted a specific branch of engineering, or you would have wanted a specific college, and then you are here with us today. So year 2020 has been a bag of mixed feelings, mixed emotions and mixed outcomes for different people, right? So let us begin our session with a fundamental premise, with a fundamental, founding stone that we all as human beings deserve respect and basic human dignity. We all need recognition, affection, and affiliation. We all want to be recognized. We all need love and affection. We all want to be associated, and we all want others to understand us. We all want to be understood. And still, very rarely, we truly express ourselves and share our feelings with others. And why is that so? We all have fear of being judged, fear of being ridiculed and rejected when it comes to our innermost feelings. Let us understand, let us talk about emotional wellness. You have heard about physical wellness, how we should be eating properly, we should be sleeping properly, exercising, so that our body remains fit and free of diseases, right? Equally important is our mental health, or another word for mental health is emotional wellness. And how do we define emotional wellness? Peace with oneself and harmony with others. So, peace with oneself means you are happy with what you are, you are satisfied with what you are at present time, you are not angry with yourself, and then you are in harmony with others. So your family members, your friends, anyone you are related to directly or indirectly, there is a harmony with others. If we are in that state of our mind, then we are emotionally well, right? So mental health or emotional wellness refers to an overall psychological well-being. It includes the way we feel about ourselves, the quality of our relationships, and very, very important, our ability to manage our feelings and cope up with difficulties of, daily life. So that is what is emotional wellness. And it is not a state of continuous happiness or satisfaction. I mean, nobody can be continuously happy or continuously satisfied about things which are happening in our lives. But are we able to cope up with those feelings? Are we able to manage those feelings without going down emotionally? That is emotional wellness. Now, to move towards emotional wellness, a very, very important step is emotional awareness, to be aware of our emotions. Now, what are emotions? Emotions are, feelings which are generated automatically in our mind, and you cannot predetermine that. You cannot predict that now I'm going to be happy, now I'm going to be sad, now I'm going to be jealous and angry. It will come depending on so many factors. And many emotions are sudden, they are momentary. You don't know that next moment you are going to be angry, but you just burst out of anger. And these emotions can change without notice. There are no good or bad emotions. All are emotions. All need to be accepted. Now, when it comes to feelings is a forbidden word for many. We don't speak about feelings. Our upbringing and social conditioning since childhood blocks our awareness about our feelings and stops us from acknowledging them. We are taught to use our heads and not our hearts. Many times you will hear your parents speaking like that, or your friends, or somebody closer to you speaking like that. When you say, I am sad, hey, nothing, everything will be all right. Like that, we get to hear. So we don't really express ourselves much. Okay. However, our feelings are the core of our life, because our actions depends on our feelings. Imagine yourself one day morning, you get up groggy, and you get up only feeling angry and not all right, and then that day you decide I will not do anything. Or we go and end up having a fight with somebody without a reason. You don't even know the reason. We just go and end up fighting because in the morning itself we were not feeling good, we were feeling low, or we were feeling put down. So that action has happened because of the feeling. So most of you can think about so many things where you have taken a certain action, but that action was preceded by a feeling. So because you were feeling like this, that thing happened actually, like that. So our feelings are very, very important part of our life. Our feelings are very, very important part of our life. Okay, very important to understand this. Let's go further. Okay, now as we discussed before, feelings are like forbidden words. We don't really talk about our feelings. But if something else happens, if you are in a accident, a small accident, your hand breaks, then we show it to everybody. Okay, see, I got so many stitches. We want to show it to our friends. We want our friends and relatives to come over and check out on us like that. How are you doing? Like this. But when if somebody is struggling with a mental health issue, you might have, seen some people, or it could be you yourself, that sometimes you're feeling really sad for so many days, or you feel like crying, or, you are hurt and you are angry with somebody, but we don't really talk about it. We just hold it in our, heart and our mind. So what we do, in other words, we all wear masks. This is a famous Jim Carrey picture from the movie Mask. So if you have seen that movie, you know that when he wears the mask, he is all powerful, he shows the world how powerful he is. But inside he feels like a loser always. Inside he is powerless. But when he wears the mask, he gets all the power. So similar way, many of us, we wear the mask. We show everyone that we are happy, we are doing well. When someone asks you, hey, are you okay? Absolutely fine. Why are you asking? I am good. I am fine. And you see here inside his mind, he's crying for help, sad, sometimes, depressed, sometimes just sad, sometimes, not feeling up to the mark. But we rarely express it to others. Right? This is something which we call it as a emotion wheel. So when we are talking about emotions, so there are 5 basic emotions. Emotion of being happy, sad, disgusted, emotion of anger, very, very powerful emotion in our lives. All of us experience it at least once in a day, then fear, and then surprise. So these are the 5 fundamental emotions which can be, further bifurcated into multiple emotions. So for example, let us talk about anger. This is the anger iceberg. Now, when somebody is angry, so anger is an emotion which is a symptom of something else. So when you are angry outside, inside your mind, multiple things will be going on. At least 2-3 of it together. For example, you might be lonely, you might be disappointed, somebody has rejected you, not accepted, what you said, and all that comes out as the anger. Sometimes we might be feeling guilty and ashamed about something which we have done, and that is making us angry. Sometimes we are anxious, you are going to write your exam. For example, you have written many competitive exams now, so you were feeling that anxiety comes when we are going for the exam, and that time if mommy or daddy says something, then suddenly we are angry without no reason, because that anxiety from inside is, eating us. That worry, how my exam is going to be, will the time be enough, all those, questions come in our mind. So understand, if somebody is getting angry very often, underlaying that iceberg of anger, there are multiple feelings. Right? Now, impact of the pandemic. This pandemic definitely has had some impact upon us, right? And you are blessed if none of what is written here has happened to you, right? And what are these things which have happened to some people? Uncertainty leading to frustration. There was uncertainty in academics, in examination, then results of the examination, then up till now admissions. Every time there is uncertainty. We don't know what is going to happen. That leads to frustrations, that leads to emotional stress, that leads to fights and worries actually. So much. Then worries related to finances, health of the family members. Somebody has fallen sick because of the pandemic, somebody has not well, and then money matters. Then some people have experienced breakups in their relationships and in the friendships also, which has impacted them emotionally by a large extent, especially given the crowd of your age. Breakups are keep on actually it happens more than me. If this was an interactive session, you would have told me more about it than I can tell you actually. Then conflicts with families, friends, parental pressure about studies, about exam results, about admissions after not getting the expected result. And some of the youngsters, they have experienced addiction to social media, because since March, after your exams, there was a gap in between, and we could not go out because of the lockdown. So addiction to social media, addiction to gaming, addiction to unfortunately some people get into substance abuse, some people get into porn addiction. So, and porn kills your mind faster than anything else. They say alcohol kills your liver, smoking will kill your lungs, and porn will kill your mind, faster. It kill you as a person actually. Right? And what are the other issues, so many people have faced? Time management issue. Okay, now we have so much time, but there is nothing happening. That situation has come, or there was very less time and so many things to do. That situation has come, so time management becomes a problem. Some people were sad and lonely. Some people were bored, and some people were have experienced, anger outbursts because they were, they were scared. They were alone. They didn't know what to do, and they were frustrated. So anger outbursts were there. Some of them experienced abuse, physical abuse, beating, emotional abuse, like that. They have experienced, name calling by family members or friends, like that. Some of them suffered from having no friend or having too many friends. Both become a problem. Having no friend, one is lonely. Having too many friends, a lot of time is getting wasted. So a lot of things, and if none of this has happened to you, you are really blessed. But if even one of this has happened to you, you are, you are in the, you are there are millions with you. Actually, there are millions with you, and you are not alone in this, right? Now, how do we cope with the new normal? What is the new normal now for you as a engineering student, as a first year student? Is that to begin with, your classes are going to start online. You had a session in the morning, and that in the beginning, till university sends a circular, your classes are going to be online. And what does that mean? Online classes means, self learning. Your teacher will be taking the classes. Teachers are going to upload video lectures, recorded lectures, and you attending the classes regularly is very, very important. I am sure, Madam have told you, emphasize the importance of attending classes. Along with that, what I would like to suggest is, some people, your seniors might tell you, hey, it is not possible to learn online. We don't understand anything. They don't understand anything. That does not mean you will not understand anything. If you are regular, in the beginning it is possible, because everything is changing, that you may not understand everything. You will not understand anything is not possible. You may not understand everything. But then how do you overcome it? By self-learning. How do you make self-learning your strength? You are an adult now. Everybody is above 18. So self-learning, self-direction, self-motivation becomes a very, very important part of it. Until now, you see, you have been spoon-fed. Teachers said, parents said, study this, buy hard this, practice 100 papers. You will be able to crack the JEE. You will be able to crack the KCET or COMED-K, like that. Okay, but now spoon-feeding will not be there. And it should not be there now, spoon feeding. You are an adult already. So self-learning becomes your strength. Okay. If somebody is teaching, teacher is teaching, you don't understand anything. YouTube is a very, very useful learning tool actually. So whatever, you are learning, suppose you are learning, working of a p-n junction diode, say for example, in subject basic electronics. I take a class, you followed only half of it, half you didn't understand. You just type working of p-n junction diode in your YouTube search, and then you find, multiple videos. Watch those 2-3 videos. There are a lot of animations, and then it starts making sense to you. Then you will know what question to ask. So this is one way you cope up with this situation, not by, complaining or listening to somebody who does not want to study. You listen to yourself. You put a discipline in yourself to sit and make most of the technology for good use now. Right? You are with me? Right? The second thing which is going to happen to you in the new normal, and I think which has already started happening, is you are going to make a lot of new associations with different platforms. A Facebook, I don't know nowadays whether you people use Facebook, because they say Facebook is for oldies now. So now Insta is there, Telegram is there, and of course WhatsApp is there, Hangouts is there, and so many other things which Snapchats, and I may not be knowing like that. So many things are there. So what happens is suddenly you join with 100 others unknown people, 100 other people, or more than that, whom you don't know, and you want to be friends with everybody. You want to group, you want to be associated with them. And when it comes to social media, we all want to show our best. That we want to show we are the smartest, and I am a cool dude, I am a bro, and like this we want to project ourselves. Nothing wrong in doing that. Everyone wants to do it. However, overdoing it is, may create some discomfort in your life. Okay. Another thing, what we have experienced as teachers in this college from many years, students are, in a hurry to comment on other people's posts on social media. So somebody puts the photo of a film star, a Kannada film star, and other person comments on this, and then this both have started fighting literally. I mean, they beat each other up actually. Okay, so that situation. Watch your words. You are in first year. Avoid commenting on seniors' posts and other people posts. Avoid putting hurtful words. Okay, that can create complications and that can create fights, right? And when it comes to Insta and other things, our profile pictures, we want to be very advanced with our profile pictures. And like you see a profile, somebody's profile, you like that person's profile, and now Instagram has got so many filters, it can make you look totally different than what you are. So real person will be sitting next to you, you will be liking her profile or his profile in the Instagram, not knowing that that person is sitting next to you. That type of filtering is happening now. So let's not go by the what we see on the social media. What is real, what is sitting next to you matters a lot actually. Okay, understand this. The next important thing which comes in this now in this situation when you are associated with so many people is new friendships and new relationships. Okay, so what happens with some people, it's important to focus on friendships in the beginning. Very, very important. Make good friends, make stable friendship, connect with people. Okay, that is very important. I see some many students are always they're in a hurry to make relationships. Okay, and if you see this cartoon, somebody flutters the eyelids. She has got beautiful eyelashes actually, and she flutters the eyelids, and this fellow is giving away his heart. His heart is popping out of his chest cavity, and then at the end of the semester ending into a heartbreak. He is not able to stitch it also properly like that, which is very natural. If it happens to one of you, there is nothing wrong in that. It happens. But then again, we need to learn how to come out of it, how to cope up with it. It does not mean then you can fail in all the 6 subjects because you had a heartbreak. Okay, so don't be in a hurry to have relationships. Here you see, relationship is based on friendship. So focus on the friendship first. That is, my I will not say advice, my genuine, appeal to all of you. Focus on friendship first. Okay. Now, every relationship has a reason, a season, or a lifetime. What it means is relationships are not permanent. Neither are friendships. In first year, first semester, you will like so many people. You will make friends. You will think, oh, best friend forever, BFF, we are going to live together forever. You may not live together for next 3 months also. Please understand that. And it is very, very normal for it to happen like that. Okay, so if someone leaves you or you leave someone, that is a very normal thing. That is a very, very normal thing. Okay, please understand. This is very important. You don't lose yourself. You don't lose your life just because somebody has left you. People will laugh. You will be worried. My friends will laugh at me. That girl has insulted me. That boy has insulted me. That is all in your mind. Everything will pass with time. Please understand this. Okay, no relationships are permanent. They will last for so long. If some friendships, if some relationships last for some time, last for your lifetime, that is an exceptional case. Normally, it does not. Some of you might have experienced it by now, had a bitter sweet taste of it, felt bad, cried. Okay, but it passes. Please remember this. Okay, then, look at this cartoon. Don't spill the beans. Okay, what it means is, do not, some of us, you are in a hurry to tell everything about yourself to others. You are in a hurry to make fast friendships. So you end up telling all your secrets, all, what is inside your heart to others. Don't be in a hurry to do that. Don't expose yourself too much too soon. Hold yourself, maintain a mystery about yourself. Focus on friendships, again, I would say. Okay, and when you become good friends with somebody, for example, when the classes start, offline classes start, you live in a hostel, okay, and you are room partner with somebody, or you make some fast friends, but you don't really own that person, and nobody owns you. Please remember this, girls and boys, in a relationship, in a friendship, you don't own anybody and no one owns you. What does it mean? If your friend in EC department goes and talks to another boy in CS department, does not mean that boy has left you or that girl has left you. That person has full freedom to go and talk to anyone. And at the same time, you have a freedom to go and talk to anyone. So relationship means open partnership, not the ownership of anybody. No human, slavery is abolished long back. No human can own another human. Please remember this. Very, very important for your emotional wellness, for your emotional health. Because at this age, at your age, I have seen a lot of people, falling for this, or trying to own somebody, stalking somebody, creating trouble in their life and your own life, and then failing in all the subjects and getting ear back. All that is avoidable. Please remember this. Okay. So focus on healthy, happy friendship. There should be happiness in that. Jealousy. Some of us experience, strong jealous feelings. It is a sign of insecurity, weakness, and obsession. That if you are jealous of somebody means you are feeling insecure or weak in front of that person. Are you going through feelings like this? Little bit exploration, self-awareness, emotional awareness. Please, it goes a long way in you being happy and healthy in the campus. Your health in campus means you are happy, you are attending all the classes, you are writing all the internal exams, you are passing in all the subjects, and you are happy at the same time. Okay, that is very, very important for us. Nowadays, with the virtual learning environment, online classes, actually your mobile is your best friend. Having a good mobile and smartphone and having a good data connection is, like a lifeline actually. These are our two lifelines actually now in present times. However, still some of us, experience something which is called as nomophobia. Now, what is nomophobia? No mobile phobia. So you get that anxiety, feeling of sickness, you start feeling worried if your mobile is not with you. It's like you are enslaved, you are caged into your mobile, you are addicted to your mobile. So if that is happening, just be aware of it, whether it is happening to you. If it is happening to you, what is to be done is a different thing. But whether it is happening to you, be aware of that. Right? Let's go further. Yes. Now, happiness at campus life. So we know about emotional wellness now, right? So happiness, how do you maintain your emotional wellness? First is by managing your emotions. How do you manage your emotions? By being aware of your emotions, that I am feeling stress, I am feeling confused, I am feeling anxious, I am not understanding anything, or I am feeling sad or angry. Awareness is the first step. And then managing, what can I do about these emotions? Right? If you want to know more about how to manage the emotions, my number is here down, my email is there. You can write an email to me, you can message me on WhatsApp. I would try to reply to your messages. Okay. Developing a positive mental attitude. Just because somebody is telling you you will not understand anything, you cannot study, online study is not possible, that is a very negative way of looking at it. This is what we have to do in this time, so we are going to do in this time. Having a positive mental attitude about your friends, about your classmates, your teachers, how you behave in an online class, everything will show your positive attitude actually. Then nurturing close and important relationships. So when you are in campus, when you are in college, your important relationship is with your room partners. If you are in a hostel, then your classmates, girls and boys, right? And then your teachers, your laboratory attenders, laboratory instructors, head of the departments. These are all your important and close relationship. Nurture them, look after them. Insulting others, back answering to teachers, leads to unhappiness on both the sides actually. And with empathy means trying to understand their situation from their point of view. That is empathy. At the end of this session, I'm going to take you through a very small video based on empathy, so you will know what empathy is. Happiness, healthy use of technology. Very, very important. Use technology for right reasons, for learning, for entertainment. Fine. What kind of entertainment are you using it for? That is in your hand, in your control. And it's very important to use the technology in a healthy way. Having a good sense of humor. If somebody laughs at me, then I am feeling sad, I am feeling angry. Okay, I am also laughing at them. Okay, not in a way to ridicule, not in a way to insult them, to have fun. That outlook helps to maintain happiness. Share your feelings with a trusted person, with a trusted non-judgmental friends. If some feelings are bogging you down, you are continuously not feeling all right, not feeling happy, more than 2 weeks, then you need to talk to somebody. Very important. Okay, you talk to a friend who can keep your secrets, who will not judge you. Very difficult to find friends like this, or trusted family members if you have anybody. If you don't have anyone to talk to, we are coming to a very, very critically important point in this discussion. Okay, is if you don't have anyone to talk to, what do you do? Actually, there are some things which you can do by yourself. Make a gratefulness journal, that whatever happened in your day today, what are you grateful for, what you did not like. Write a diary, write a dream book. So many things are possible. Today time is limited, so we cannot discuss many of these things. Okay, but I would love to discuss with you some other time, right? So if coming back to this point, if you have no one to share your feelings, there are some feelings which are you don't want to share with anybody. Those you feel that if you tell about this something about yourself to this person, it could be your best friend or somebody, that person will judge you, that person will leave you or will get angry at you. Then you need someone which is called as a counselor. Okay, who is a counselor? You see what a counselor does. You see, this is the person, this is you as a learner, as a student, this is the counselor, this is your mind, all in confusion, all entangled. The counselor helps you to straighten your mind, actually, to align your thoughts, align your feelings, be aware of your feelings and cope up with difficult feelings. So how do you know that I need counseling or someone else needs it? Okay, you know it if you are sad for a long time, if you feel like crying, if you feel depressed, if you have suicidal thoughts, or if you are always overexcited for some reason, you need a counselor. Is it compulsory? No, it is totally your wish, totally your desire. Now, some people think, if I go to a counselor, does it mean that there is something wrong with me? Because there is a taboo in our society about going to counselor. Absolutely not. In fact, it takes a lot of awareness, courage and strength to go and talk to a counselor, actually, that I think I need help, I think I need to talk to someone who will not judge me, who can keep my secrets. And that's a sign of courage and strength, actually. Please remember this. If anybody tells you if you go to a counselor means you are crazy or you have some madness, it is not like that. Okay, remember this. Look at this. You know my name, not my story. You see my smile, not my pain. You notice my cuts, not my scars. You can read my lips, not my mind. I am sure many of you would relate to this. It happens to most of us at this age. In that case, we need to see a counselor. The next question comes, will all my information be confidential? Absolutely. What you say will stay with the counselor unless someone is hurting you, you are getting abused by somebody, you want to hurt someone, you want to hurt yourself. In this case, you need help of somebody. Okay, and only if you give permission to share with another trusting adult. Otherwise, it remains totally confidential. Okay. There are other questions. What is the difference between a psychiatrist and a counselor? A psychiatrist is basically a doctor which treats psychiatric disorders with medicine and other therapies. A counselor is your trusted friend, okay, who listens to you and talks only to make you talk. So a counselor allows you to talk, empathizes with you, acknowledges and respects your feelings, supports you unconditionally. A counselor is totally non-judgmental. Very, very difficult to find a person like this. Does not judge, tries to understand your point of view, maintains confidentiality, and empowers you. Does not give you any solutions, ready-made solutions, because you yourself are a person capable of making decisions for you. So the counselor empowers you to make your decision. So next time you are feeling sad, you are feeling unhappy, you are not liking what is happening in your life, you want to find a way out. It could be a simple thing, it need not be a very big thing, but something which has been bothering you for a long time. Please talk to a counselor. This is very important. Okay, what are the other benefits of counseling? regaining emotional balance. It gives you a support that you are not alone with your problems. There is someone to help you. You get a greater degree of self-awareness. You know more about yourself, healthier lifestyle, relief from stress. There are multiple. You are more in control of your own situation. Outside situations will control you less. Okay. How do you approach a counselor? You can, our college has a student counselor. I am myself a counselor. You can find me. My details are here. This is my email ID. This is the phone number. Face to face, texting or WhatsApp. If you don't want to disclose your identity, also you can, anonymously send a mail. Okay, and write your problem message. Or if you are comfortable talking face to face, we can have a video call or audio call also. Okay, so these are the way you approach your counselor. So anytime you feel a need that you need to talk to someone, a third person, not a friend, not a family, a counselor is the person you approach actually. Okay, these are some of the guidelines during the pandemic which Government of India gave, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. And you see how much importance government also has given for this, for mental health, for emotional wellness this year, because this pandemic has affected directly or indirectly mental health of almost everybody in some way. So mental well-being is an integral part of staying healthy, and especially this is focused on younger ones. Mental health is important. Take time out for yourself. Talk to people you trust. Follow a fitness regime. And anxiety associated with the pandemic may lead to psychological issues. In case you are feeling persistent or prolonged sadness, more than 2 weeks, tiredness for no reason, changes in sleeping, eating pattern, having negative thoughts continuously. Sometimes we will have negative thoughts, but continuously. Lack of interest in the task you enjoyed previously. So suppose previously you used to play cricket and you used to be very happy after playing cricket. Now you don't want to play cricket. That's a pointer that something is not all right. And unfortunately, some people, get suicidal thoughts. Some people end up ending their lives. That should not happen. There is always a way out. There is always hope. Remember this. Okay, very, very important. Let's go further. Right, so ways to promote mental health, we discussed emotional awareness, emotion management, knowing how to behave, what to behave, focusing on friendships, focusing on healthy relationships, very, very important. So that brings us to the end of this session. And my gratitude, my heartfelt thanks to the management, to the principal of AMCC, to our HOD Madam, Dr. N.V. Reddy, and thank you, all of you, Head of the Departments of Basic Sciences, Dr. Mini, and Dr. Venkat Lakshmi, and also thanks to all of you who have been, paying attention closely and listening to this. Your presence here is really, really important for me, and I truly appreciate you for that. So thank you, everyone, and all the best for your future. I wish you a glorious career. Engineering is only for 4 years, and we have to complete it in 4 years. Remember, very important. And I wish you all the best for this. So we are going to end this session with a small video about empathy, and then we say bye. So thank you, everyone. I will stop sharing this and I will share a new window with you. Okay, so that brings us to the end of this session. Thank you everyone for listening, and I'll see you some other time in future. All the best. Thank you very much. Good afternoon.